we'll learn about the manual part programming for the CNC machine. Okay, so the first question is, what is the part programming and what are the different types of part programming? So the basically the types of part programming is are different. Like the programming can be done manually or some by automated means like computer aided part programming. Okay, and part programming using subroutines, do loops, fixed cycles, and that are different things that we can use in the part programming. The part programming is basically a sequence of instructions. Okay, so the part programming is the sequence of instructions. Different types of instructions, that sequence composed of the alphanumeric codes. Okay, part the part programming is a sequence of instructions. Okay, these instructions describe the work which has to be done on the part in the form required by computer under the control of numerical control computer program. Part programming is the task of preparing a program sheet from a drawing sheet. Basically, that drawing sheet will tell you about, or will tell the programmer about the geometry, shape and size of the product which is going to fabricate or which is going to manufacture using the different types of CNC machines. All data is fed into a numerical control system using a standardized format, and programming is where all machining done are completed and where the data are translated into language which can be understood by the control system of the machine tool. The machining data composed of the machining sequence classification of the process, tool start point, cutting depth, tool path, etc., etc. Okay, so the first point after this part programming, after understanding the basic of part programming, like the part program is the sequence of instructions, which describe the work has to be done on the part in the form required by computer under the control of numeric control computer program. So this is necessary to make the program in such a manner that the controller of the CNC machine can decode that program and perform the necessary task. Part programming comprised of the collection of data, arrangement of information, tool path calculation. Okay. Collection of data. Which type of data it will collect? So it will collect machine sequence classification of the process, tool startup points, cutting depth, tool path, etc. Then that are the different thing, like tool path. If you have to provide the address of different points, then it will calculate the tool path. Okay, according to the linear or point to point like of the motion. Then arrangement of information, you have to arrange that information in a proper sequence. Okay, in the block. Block is the basically a line of instructions that composed of the alphanumeric codes. Okay. Now other information or I should say the data which you have to collect before doing the part programming is the cutting conditions. Okay, like cutting conditions, Another thing is the spindle speed, feed rate, and coolant. Okay, now another thing is the selection of proper cutting tool. Another information which you required before going for the part programming is the selection of the tool. You have to select the appropriate tool which can create the necessary or required shape. Okay. While preparing a part program that need to perform a few steps, okay, that first you have to determine the startup procedure, which includes the extension of dimensional data and dimensional data from the part drawing or the solid model. And regarding surface quality, you require to collect the data, and accordingly you can decide the procedures, like if you have to use the different types of cutter, like if you have to go for the finishing operation, then you have to provide some allowances, and you have to use the appropriate tool for the appropriate surface quality or to get the good surface quality. Now next thing is the select tool and determine the tool offset. That is the another step. You have to select the tool. Okay. So we have to decide these things. We have to prepare for the part programming by selecting the appropriate tool and the tool offset, set up the zero position for the workpiece by selecting the speed and rotation of the spindle. Let us further discuss in detail. So the next thing or next point which we should discuss is the type of data required for the part programming. Okay. So the type of data is we can classify that data this data in three different parts, like data or information that we can extract from the drawing, okay, and another thing is the miscellaneous information, and the third one is the data determined by the part programmer, data calculated or determined by programmer. Okay. So let us first discuss this data or information extracted from the drawing, that is basically dimensions, of features, like you have to cut the groove, slot, drill, like you have to drill the hole, then you have to know the appropriate diameter of the hole, that you can extract from the drawing. And segment shape, okay, so that information we have to extract from the drawing. Some miscellaneous information also we have to know before going for the part programming. that miscellaneous information are like surface quality, so that you can choose the appropriate cutter, number of cycles, there if there is any requirement of the turning cycle, finished turning cycle, then we can do accordingly. Then tolerances also. Okay. Then tool and workpiece material. So material for tool and workpiece for both. Okay. We have to determine which material you are going to cut using that CNC machine, and accordingly we have to decide the appropriate tool material also, so that it can remove the metal efficiently and effectively without creating any adverse effect on the machine and the part also. Then another thing is the machining conditions. Machining conditions, that is another information, another factor that will affect the end product, the quality of end product. And auxiliary functions. Sorry. Okay, so that are the miscellaneous, that is basically the miscellaneous data which we have to know before going for the part programming. Another type of data that can be determined or calculated by the programmer is direction of the cutting. Direction of cutting. That will affect the directrix, generatrix, and according to the requirement of the part surface quality, according to the surface, you have to decide the appropriate and accurate direction for the cutting. Whether you have to use the down milling, up milling, like if you want to do the milling of the brittle material, that it can also be possible by like ductile mode machining of the brittle material. That is the very interesting research area that you can refer, several articles are there. So accordingly we have to choose the appropriate cutting direction and the cutting strategies according to the end product, according to the requirement of the job. Tool change. What will be the sequence of the tooling? Okay, that is the another part of the part programming, like because if you will select, you will change the tool n number of times during the operation, then it will affect the productivity. Okay, so first we have to decide the sequence of the operation, and according to that sequence we can change the tool so that we can increase the productivity, because there is some time that is associated with the tool change also. Okay, machine is requires some time to change the tool, so there are a few seconds like, but still we can't change tool again and again during the operation. So we have to optimize this strategies, or we have to use the appropriate strategy. We have to optimize the tool changing. Sequencing, that requires the familiarities with the NC process. Okay, that is basically related to the NC process, so we can skip that point here. Then familiarity with NC machine tool and systems. That are the other things that is basically related to the NC machine systems, not related to this one. Okay, so that data basically we have to first calculate, and we can go for the select the tool and determine the tool offset, set up zero position for the workpiece, select the tool monitors according to the profile required, and return the cutting tool and reference point after completion of the work, and end of the program by stopping the spindle and coolant. Okay, that is also the part of the sequencing and the part of the code. Okay, so that are basically the data which you require to prepare the part program. Now, different types of data required for the part programming we have discussed. Now, come to the various functions of the different functions related to the CNC part programming.